If you watch the previous video, then you will notice that I did add more design to these tiles during my first time with them, and all of this has dried and it's time to continue adding some more. And at this point I can add some dots on top of the ones that I already have created, and that's going to give that extra layered effect. Here's one of our rocks that we looked at before, another one, and so you can see that does just give them a lot more interest than just having the single layers. I also have a paintbrush here that a tool that I've added in. I'm not going to use the brush, the bristle part. I'm going to actually use the back, and I believe that's going to give us another size of dots. We'll try that out and see how that works. So, and I also added 2 more colors to my palette here. I have some kind of a reddish orange color and a yellow in addition to the colors that I used previously. So let's see here. I'm going to start with this one, this orange. Hopefully you can see that okay on my red background here. And so I'm going to go ahead on this dot in the center, and I'm going to add with my pencil eraser a dot in the center of that, because that's pretty big and plain looking. Let's go ahead and try out this reddish color here. And so again, holding my pencil perpendicular straight up and down. And you will get a better dot if you don't push it all the way down. If you just barely touch it, then you'll see. And that left a little lump. This paint's a little bit thicker than I prefer, but hopefully that'll kind of flatten out a little bit as that dries. And so maybe to continue with my scheme and give this whole design unity, meaning that we've used some repetition to repeat things, I'm going to add some of these. I don't know that this color would show up great on this orange, but let's see. Since I have some on here, I'm going to move this one aside, and that's the kind of the nice thing about working on a few at a time. You can kind of, while you have a color already on here, go ahead and take advantage. So let's see if I get another dot out of that. Yep, that worked fine. So let's go ahead and I will put these dots, and taking the time to rotate this so I can reach it without smearing my paint that I just did. And if you happen to do something, make a mistake, it's harder to clean it off if you're doing it on top of other paint. The best thing to do is look at it and try to figure out how you can make that part of your design. Make it look like you did that on purpose. Let's see, I think while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead between these white dots that I have and put some red ones in between. And I forgot to rotate that, and that one felt a little awkward. Let's see, where else might I want these red? Maybe it's time. And you can see I've kind of moved on to this one and put this one aside without thinking about it. This one I see more possibilities right now, I guess. So I have my paper towel handy. I'm gonna just wipe that off. If you have a little bit of water, you can use that to get it off, but the dry paper towel works pretty much just fine. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna try out the back of this paintbrush. We'll see how that works. I'm gonna go for some of that yellow and put it in the middle. Oh, that's pretty hard to see, isn't it? I don't know, it's not showing up super great for me, but since I've already put one on that, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of them. So let's try some of these yellow dots on top of those small green ones. And maybe you can see the size better. There we go. And that works pretty well for another size here. Not as small as the pencil dots that we did yesterday over here, if this one's showing. So it's a little bit of more of a medium size. I find this really relaxing. I like to do this just if I have some time to just relax and get creative. And once you get going, you'll be able to just really continue to make your designs more and more complex. So you can see that the layering just adds a little bit more. While we're at it, and again, I'm just gonna put this guy aside for a minute. We're gonna focus on these two, I think, for now. So something else I can do, I'm gonna show you with these white circles here. I'm gonna go ahead and repeat some of that green, I think. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and use this same size. I'm gonna wipe that one off. I could use the pencil dot for this too, but this is a pretty good amount of space here. So I'm gonna put some of these around, and if I wanna space these out evenly, this is what I like to do. Is kind of go across from each other. I did those two and then these two across, and then I can fill in those spaces in between. And that way I'm gonna keep it a little bit more even than if I was to start here and just go around in a circle there. Then I might end up with too large of a space or too small of a space. So you can see how that is going. So if I did these across, and then these, and I'm trying not to push this all the way down. This is very good for your fine motor skills, practicing those little small details. And so I would keep on going. I can keep just adding and layering. You can see how I did this around all these green dots with the tiny pencil point. You can do that a lot of just around some of these also. So this can be a multi-day process, just adding to your designs. Another quick tip, when I did these white circles around, I started in the corners, and then I did these in the middle, just kind of like I was doing those little ones around there. And then I filled in those spaces. And again, that kept that nice and even. I didn't just start in the corner and dot over that way. So I did my corners, I did my between the corners, and then I filled in those spaces in between. That's a way to keep your design nice and even too. All right, it's time for you to start creating. Can't wait to see your designs.